Nofap fam, I just had to remind myself, and I want to remind you as well to ignore the urge. Oh, ignore the urge. I didn't spill it. I didn't spill it. I'm still 100+ days in. I stopped counting. I stopped counting at some point, but I'm 100+ days in this time. And the urges still exist. They're not as bad as they used to be. I'm doing a lot of things. I'm doing the mudra to ensure that I help with the cravings. I'm sitting in the brahmachari asana sometimes when I meditate. So obviously based on that, I'm meditating. I'm doing energy work. I'm grounding, like walking barefoot on the earth. I can't squat right now, so I'm not squatting. But I am doing other things which ground my energy. So I'm doing fairly well with the transmutation aspect. Excuse me. Forgive me, and I thank you for that. Thank you. Um, so I'm doing well on the journey, but I had to remind myself just now to ignore the urge because the way the urges work, right? The urge comes in, right? And you have that opportunity. You're discerning it right now. If you're at any decent level, you recognize that it's an urge. You also recognize that you don't have to give in to the urge. But too often, we do. We think we'll just give in to the urge a little bit. So you give in to the urge a little bit and you allow yourself to become involved with that thought. Remember, your relationship with the thought is just that, a relationship. You know what I'm saying? So that thought came in and you allowed yourself to go ahead and flirt with it. You're cheating, technically. You're cheating on yourself. You're cheating on your desire to move higher up the Nofap ladder, which is leveling up. It's just simple leveling up. It's an easy way for you to level up. The longer you do Nofap, the more you retain, the more you mitigate and transmute that energy and allow a more positive energy to come in. So when that urge comes in and you don't ignore it, guess what? You give it some life. And when you give it life, where does its life exist? In you. You know what I'm saying? So you've just allowed it to get inside of you. And how did you do that? By developing a relationship with a bad thought. It's the same as developing a relationship with a bad friend or a bad partner. You know what I'm saying? You know you're not supposed to be messing with her, but you still messing with her. Why are you messing with her? Why are you messing with her? You know every time she come around, you start feeling bad, things ain't going your way, your vibration's not right, but you still give into it. And that's the same thing some of y'all is doing with these urges. You know what I'm saying? These urges are nothing more than a diversion. That's all they are. Why would you give the diversion any energy at all? You think you're just going to give it a little bit of energy. I'm going to just look at one image. I'm going to look at two, and then I'm going to get off. I ain't going to look at no more. But you don't recognize that when she comes in, she becomes stronger when you let her in. The mere fact that you're letting her in gives her the strength. You're giving the strength to the lust by becoming involved with it as a thought. Don't get involved with it at all. Don't even think about it. Transmute it immediately. The moment it comes in, boop, different thought. And that's where meditation comes in to help you. Meditation comes in to help you mitigate lust because meditation assists with your awareness. Your awareness. You have to start to be aware of when the lust is trying to suck you up because that's what it does. You know what I'm saying? It fools. Just like they say in some religions when they describe their Satan, they say that it will appear as an angel of light. And that's the same thing lust does, like one of them grimy ass hoes. You know what I'm saying? Looking all good, this, that, and the other thing, looking like a sweet girl. Come to find out, cheating ass bitch, lying ass hoe. You know what I'm saying? That's the same thing with thoughts. You know what I'm saying? The thought will look like it's giving you something, but the thought is actually taking something from you. And you need to understand that with lust. Lust is the reason you keep relapsing. But if you really want to take it a step further, you're using lust to mitigate something else. You lack coping mechanisms. Now, we oftentimes start to talk about our triggers. And when we talk about our triggers, what we tend to focus on is those things that will get the lust going. Which is, you know, some of these, some of that thing they got in the middle, a pretty face, a smile, hair, sometimes even just the voice. or scent. You know what I mean? You ready to go. You smell that scent? Girl, you know what I'm saying? You know what it is. You know what it is. So all those are triggers. However, what we tend to overlook sometimes is the fact that stress, stress leads us to her too. Because we're not feeling bad. I mean, we're not feeling good. Something happens. You were formerly in a great vibration. Everything was going your way. One little thing happens. And then she says, oh, you need some comforting. You need some comforting. And then the urges start to come in. Those urges oftentimes are not coming in because you're horny. So don't miss that in your desire to mitigate lust. You have to understand that lust appears in multiple different ways for multiple different reasons. You could be away from all the titties that you want to be. You know what I mean? Living out somewhere, ain't having no titty thoughts, no nothing. But what happens is a particular thing may occur. Things don't go your way. You feel bad. Something didn't work out in the time that you thought. You know what I'm saying? You lack the ability to realize that everything is good, so you're perceiving something as bad. Now, because you're perceiving that thing as bad, guess what? You're in a vibration in which you're not feeling as good. Your vibration's a bit low. Your vibration's a bit lower. Guess what's also lower? The vibration of lust. So it's not that you're even thinking of lust at this time, but you're not vibrating above it anymore, at least not as high. So you're becoming closer and closer on the vibratory scale to its vibration, just lower by nature, just lower by nature. Not talking bad about lust, it's lower. Just like your senses are lower, right? All this is of your lower nature because energy flows from higher to lower. So it's flowing from high, where you are, high vibration that is, to a lower vibration. So let's just, with an understanding from vibration, is just lower. So anyway, not only are you vibrating lower, but also that lust has started to move in you and is there. And when you allow it in, it somehow grows while it's inside of you. It starts to hijack your senses. But to hijack your senses, it has to hijack you. And so it starts to hijack your thought process. And before you know it, bam, you'd have busted off and lost your seed. What, 90 days down the drain? 4 this time? 32? How many days is it? Well, what day was you on? You know what I mean? But you threw it away. And you threw it away. Sometimes you even fool yourself and tell yourself you're throwing it away accidentally, but you're throwing it away intentionally. Lust is that good. It literally hijacks your ability to think. It's that dopamine that gets in your brain. That dopamine, the more dopamine, when we're talking about lust right now, starts to build up in your brain, the less rational you become. You know what I'm saying? The less rational you become. That's why a lot of times, you'll hear stories about certain people that were the sweetest, nicest people in the world. But guess what? They did some things you couldn't possibly imagine. And that's because they ingested increasingly higher amounts of cocaine to the point where they just wanted to get higher. That's what that dopamine does. It keeps you craving more. So you give them that cocaine, the next thing you know, they doing all type of stuff you wouldn't even think they would ever do. You know what I'm saying? Because that dopamine rushes in there and they start to link the different things that they could do with feeling more and more high. Their sense of rationality goes away. And the same thing happens to you when you start to allow those thoughts of lust in there. The thoughts of lust give you the dopamine thing. So the bad thing happens, you're feeling a bit negative. Dopamine comes in and gives you that comfort that you were seeking. Say no to the urge.